Hello, my fellow caffeinated consumers of gaming content. Welcome to More Coffee, More Games. Today, we are kicking off the channel by ranking every game in the casual business sim Arcade Paradise, including all 35 arcade cabinets in the base game, as well as the 8 available as DLC. Which games made it to S tier, and which ones would I rather clean the gum off the tables than play? Let's find out. Roll title! Before we begin, a quick shout out to the brew of the day, Nescafe Ice Roast. And now, on with the video. Air hockey. It's air hockey, but that's not a bad thing. Air hockey is one of my favorite one-on-one games to play when I'm at an arcade with a friend. And this one is as accurate as you're gonna get, right down to the clinking of the pucks and that crazy way they ricochet back and forth. The AI is pretty solid too, offering a good challenge without feeling cheap or unfair. A tier. Attack Vector. A throwback to the vector graphics craze of the early coin-op era, this game sees you as a tank shooting down helicopters in the 4 cardinal compass directions. It's fast-paced and requires some strategy in making sure you're not caught in too many rotations away from the next attack, and once you get into a good rhythm, you can really rack up some points. Definitely a just one more go type game, and that's what's important. A tier. Barkanoid. Is it Breakout? No, it's Breakout's overachieving little brother, Arkanoid, but now in doggo form. I love the reinventing of the theme, and the levels are quite interesting from both a visual and gameplay standpoint, but ultimately it's just too easy. I can literally play a single game of Barkanoid from the time I arrive in the morning, only to be told it's closing time once I lose my final tennis ball. B tier. Blobs from Space. Earthlings beware! These space invaders are coming to get you, and they've got enough variety in the levels and the occasional mini-boss to keep the format from getting stale. Plus, the graphics are cute in an early SNES kind of way, and the game is kind of challenging, even for an old hat like me, whose first exposure to the shoot-'em-up classic was on the Atari 2600. A tier. Blockchain. Although Blockchain suffers from an obnoxious learning curve due to incomplete instructions, once you actually figure out how it works, it's a brilliant twist on the Tetris match whatever format. The ASCII graphics work fantastically for the theme, and the combo system is immensely rewarding. S tier. Bomb Dudes. This dull-as-fuck Bomberman clone has literally zero going for it. The graphics are bland, the gameplay is uninspired, and even the power-ups do little to liven up the strategy. It's the gaming equivalent of cleaning your room. D tier. Bug-Eye. It's a bubble shooter with some cute aliens and national landmarks, and little else. Too easy to be fun, even if the graphics are nice. It's not bad per se, but it's definitely not for me. C tier. Championship Darts. Yeah, this game is a snore. Once you figure out how to patiently guide the cursor, you can triple bullseye your way to victory pretty easily. The only challenge this game gave me was being so mysterious about the final win conditions, you have to hit a specific unlabeled spot on the board, that my first game took forever. This wouldn't be so bad if the PDA actually explained it, or if it was easily Googleable, but it took me way longer to figure out than it needed to be. And once I did, the game was solved. D tier. Communists from Mars. It's Missile Command with a twist. Single missile silo and a larger city, but otherwise basically the same game. The ability to chain hit the falling missiles by catching them in existing explosions and having to manage your laser charge adds a welcome layer of strategy to the classic game. A tier. Cyberdance. The obligatory rhythm game has some pretty good tracks, and it's fun to just zone out and rack up your combo, but the 3 songs aren't varied enough in tempo to give much of an escalating challenge. Fun, but forgettable unless you really dig the groove. C tier. Cyberdance 2 Euromix. Slightly amped up clone of Cyberdance with faster songs. I like this one better. B tier. Empathy. What? This is definitely the kind of game the bearded hippies working out of somebody's garage would have made in the earliest days of arcade machines, and I definitely appreciate the theme and aesthetic, but it's literally a matter of joystick waggling, timing, and most importantly, stamina. The only way you lose is if, and when, your hand starts to cramp. D tier. Fruit Crush. Kinda sorta Tetris, but kinda sorta not. The pieces are all pairs of fruit, and you need to match them in groups of 4. Pretty fun if you're into that sort of thing, and given how well Tetris sold on the Game Boy, a lot of us are. B tier. Graffiti Balls. A bizarre puzzler where you need to bonk the balls with other balls, and turn them into different colors and stages. An interesting challenge, but I can't figure out a way to make this one anything more than luck-based. And I'm not really intrigued enough to try. D tier. Grav Chase. Try to control your spaceship through empty spaces and tight rings. Floaty controls and borderline impossible to play. Welcome to the F tier, my friend. You won't be the last, trust me. Hustler. It's Pool. Suffering from the same total lack of rules explanation as Championship Darts, I'm still not entirely sure how to play this game, but at least it's not as gameable as darts such that I can win in an instant every game. C tier. Jukebox. It's a jukebox. You can't play it, so to speak, but the music in this game is extremely good. A tier. Knuckles and Knees. I don't know what's worse, the fact that this Final Fight ripoff is so bland, or that they had the nerve to require you to play the terrible arcade games within the arcade game for an achievement or two. KNK isn't bad, but I certainly don't want to grind it enough to max out all the characters for its own achievements. The controls and special maneuvers aren't terribly intuitive to figure out, making the game even less interesting than it already is. C tier. Kung Fury Street Rage. Well, hello there. 5 characters with completely different stats and playstyles, interesting enemies, fast-paced strategic gameplay, licensed content from one of the best, most over-the-top indie films ever made. Stop, my penis can only get so erect. Take my S tier. Take it! Line Terror. Have you ever played Kicks? Have you ever heard of Kicks? This game gets high marks simply for being a clone of a game I've always enjoyed. On the rare occasions I could actually find one to play, that is. I guess you could say that Kicks just keep getting harder to find. And now I've officially explained how old I was with that terrible joke. Fill in the screen by drawing lines around chunks of it while dodging the vector enemies. Surprisingly challenging, although I'm not a fan of the eye-bleeding color scheme. B tier. Meteor Madness. It's asteroids, but you have to fling diamonds into a black hole, as one does. The aforementioned diamond flinging does break up the repetitiveness of Asteroid's original gameplay, taking an already fun game to the next level. Ditto for the turrets. B tier. Penguin Push. If it were possible to punch a game in the face, Penguin Push would be spitting up teeth. This god-awful Mario Bros. Clone had the bright idea to add super floaty ice physics to a game about precision movement and jumping, making it basically impossible to guide your character without either skidding into an enemy, falling off a platform, or bonking your head on something while trying to change levels. I found myself clearing the POW block as soon as the game started just so I'd have a chance in hell of jumping up to the middle level, and I still groan inwardly every time the PDA tasks me with playing it as part of the dailies. And to charge for it as DLC on top of it? Fuck you, Penguin Push. Fuck you right in the ass. Have fun in the F tier and say hello to Grav Chase for me while you're down there. Racer Chaser. It's Pac-Man with a Grand Theft Auto skin, and the clever twist of letting the player reclaim their car on foot if they get caught by the popo. Nice nod to the old Ghetto Blaster game from the Commodore 64 by letting the player shoot music at the cops to temporarily pacify them too. The only problem with Racer Chaser is that the levels are huge and take a long time to clear, and the game is way too enamored with making you play this one for the daily PDA achievements. It therefore wears out its welcome pretty quickly. C tier. ROGER. Roger? Yeah, whatever. Premise is interesting. You are a jet, and you have to dodge missiles, with each stage throwing more of them at you. At least I presume that's what the game is about. There may be a larger variety of enemies or additional gameplay introduced later in the game, but I just can't get the hang of this one. The developers seem to understand the difficulty curve, as one of the in-game goals for this machine is to beat level 3, which I can't do. D tier. Shuttlecocks. It's Pong. I appreciate the inclusion for completeness sake in a game about arcades, but we moved on a long time ago. Also, the controls aren't quite as tight as I'd like them to be, and the score needed to win makes a single match drag on for ages. D tier, but props for trying something new. Slime Pipes. The Pipes puzzle makes an appearance here, and it's pretty good. The only issue is there's no replay value, although maybe I'll change my tune if I ever unlock Endless Mode. B tier. Smoke'em. Light gun games do not translate well to controller-based interfaces, and while Smoke'em is playable, it's definitely a victim of this. Still fun though. C tier. Space Race Simulator. It's a pole position meets roguelike racing game, and I kinda like it even if I'm terrible at such things. That terribleness could be what leads me to believe that it's borderline impossible to effectively take a turn at speed once you get an upgrade or two under your belt, but I'm willing to give it a pass in that regard. B tier. Stack Overflow. This fun, fast-paced puzzler gets chaotic pretty quick. Maybe a little too quick. The difficulty curve turns into a wall after a certain number of stages. Still, I dig it. A tier. Strike Gold. Another unique title that seems to draw some inspiration from both Dig Dug and Mr. Do. Strike Gold sees you as a prospector destroying Tetris blocks and finding gold while trying not to suffocate. It's a lot of fun, but getting all of the upgrades was kind of a slog. B tier. Summer of Sports. Track and Field, the original button masher, gets a do-over. Thing is, it's pretty easy to max out the meters with minimal effort. And while that's appreciated, it also means that there's little point to keep playing once shaving milliseconds off of your best time is a matter of luck. D tier. Table Football. Foosball, as we call it here in the States, is more fun with a friend. The AI is not your friend, it takes no prisoners, and there doesn't appear to be a lot of strategy, and actually hitting the ball is pretty, if you'll excuse the pun, hit or miss. Maybe I need to take lessons from Kelsey Cook. C tier, and Kelsey, call me Thump-a-Gopher. I really dig this game, even though there's pretty much no guidance on how the controls map to the gopher holes. Shame you can't earn tickets to cash in for a cheap plastic doodad, though. B tier, Toad and Turtle. Oh, Toad and Turtle. If you had just aspired to be a Frogger clone, I would have loved you. Instead, you had to get really weird and boring on the second level and totally kill my vibe. C tier, UFO Assault. A game of timing, skill, and planning ahead. UFO Assault is a fairly unique title that's a lot more fun than it looks at first glance. A tier, Video Air Hockey. Nah, dog, I'm good. As the cabinet you start the game with, it probably would have made more sense to go with Pong, Shuttlecocks, because this game is basically the same thing. Slightly more fun due to the ability to jolt your paddle, though. D tier, Vostok 2093. Basically, zero challenge, even before you fully upgrade your ship. Once you do, you're functionally invulnerable as long as you have an IQ slightly above that of a houseplant. D tier, saved from F solely due to the fact that it doesn't fill me with rage while trying to play. Also corgis. Vostok Incorporated Pinball. I loves me some pinball, but this one has a bit of a dull board that doesn't seem to have much variety in ways to score. Hope you like shooting the same two slightly too narrow ramps over and over again. C tier, Wood Gal's Adventure. Wood Guy and Wood Gal are this game's Mario wannabes, it seems, and Wood Gal's Match 3 adventures are pretty darn good. Cute idea turning it into a pseudo-RPG that makes me hungry for sugary foods as well. A tier, Wood Gal Jr. I'm kind of shocked that I like this one as much as I do, but getting into that rhythm and visiting destruction on an endlessly tall tree is almost as addictive as Attack Vector. Beat that new high score, Sam. A tier, Wood Guy Golf. I likes me some golf games, and this one has promise, but I still haven't figured out the controls. That's actually a common problem with a lot of the more complex machines. The PDA simply doesn't go into enough detail on how to play them. B tier, although would defo be an A if I could get the hang of the shot meter. A B.5, if you will. Wood Guy Jr. A literal reskin of Wood Gal Jr. This game has no reason to exist other than to pad the machine count. F tier, and shame on you, lazy persons. Zombat 2. Excuse me. Zombat 2. Oh, Zombat 2. A glorious little twin-stick shooter that's so much fun I can totally ignore the slightly wonky zooming camera. I can only imagine how much of a hoot this is in couch co-op, but let's face it, if I had any friends, I wouldn't be running a YouTube channel about video games. S tier, with a bullet, as it were. So there you have it. Every cabinet available in Arcade Paradise ranked up all nice-like. Fun game. Glad I picked it up. Heck, doing this list has made me want to go back and play a few rounds of Blockchain. So I'll see you all in the back of the arcade. Disagree with any of my rankings? Boost my engagement metrics in the comments, and I'll see you on the flip side.